If you can read through this and be like, man, aren't other people bad? You're not being honest. Verse 28, and since they did not see fit to acknowledge God, God gave them up to a debased or depraved mind. Notice he starts with the heart in verse 24. Then he moves in verse 26 with sexual desires, like over passions, out of control passions. And then he moves in verse 28 to the mind. Heart covers all of that. He says heart to cover everything. And then he says especially passions and mind. The mind is considered part of what would come even from the heart, even in this. Everything comes from that. So now he's just getting explicit with, he said in general, God gave them up in the lusts of their hearts to impurity. And then he has said, through dishonorable passions and even through a depraved mind, the way that they think, to do what ought not be done. The Greek literally says to do what is not proper. They were filled with all manner of unrighteousness, evil, covetousness. Means wanting what someone else has, not being content. The opposite of coveting is being content with where God's got you, where you're at, and what you've got. We read covetousness and like, I don't covet. Are you content? If you're not content, you covet. Malice. He's going to use that word twice too. He says malice, and then later he's going to say maliciousness, as if he said, I need to add that in again. Malice. Hatred towards other people, wanting harm to happen to other people. All of these lists are not, if you don't hit every single one of these, I'm not talking about you. He's just giving this list of these are things that are common among sinners. Not every person will practice homosexual behavior. Every person is overtly covetous or malicious or all that. But these things will hit, some of these things will hit all of us. They are full of envy. Murder. What is murder? Murder is the intentional killing of another human being, though they are innocent. The intentional killing of a human being that has broken no laws, that's done nothing wrong, and is in no way deserving of the judicial punishment of death. And killing an innocent human. Strife. Always wanting to be arguing. Always wanting to be debating. Can't scroll through Facebook and have someone post something that you disagree with without going, well, hold on there. Boop, 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 boop. Some of that is strife. Not saying that we never disagree, but some of us have an unsavory desire to always be disagreeing, always be debating. Deceit, lying, trying to present yourself as something you're not, or to present someone else as something they're not. Maliciousness. They are gossips. Literally, the Greek word says they are whisperers. And gossips may be a good translation because that's what the word's getting at, but it's like, did you hear about them? Whispering to one another. Talking about other people most likely is what it's getting at. So gossips is good. Always talking about people, but not talking to the person. Slanderers. Love cutting other people down. Love trying to say, oh, I'm not gossiping, I'm just sharing the truth, but you're doing it because you want the other person to be just kind of cut down a little bit. Maybe you don't even think of it like that, but maybe it makes you feel good, and you don't even realize it, and your subconscious, it's just there in your subconscious. I feel better when I highlight that someone else has done something bad. Slanderers, haters of God. Insolent. How many of you have used that word this week? I have to look up the definition. I was like, what does that mean again? Some of these I'm like, okay, I got it. Insolent. It means someone who loves to hurl insults at other people. Love to insult people. Haughty. It would be, we could translate it prideful. Puffed up. I've got things together. Boastful. Not only puffed up, but loves to tell you about how great they are. Or, I was just so blessed that I got, we used to call it humble bragging. It's called pride. It's called being haughty and boastful. It doesn't matter if you start it with, I was just so blessed to run this marathon. It's like, okay. We like to mask it with things. But really, we just want people to know what we've done or how great we think we are. Inventors of evil. It's not good enough to just do evil. Saying people love to invent new ways to be evil. New ways to harm people. New ways to dishonor God. Children in the room, disobedient to parents. Disobedient to parents is in that explicit list of what it looks like to be in rebellion to God and for God to say, you want it? Go for it. Disobeying your parents is a clear example. Foolish, faithless, heartless, ruthless. In the Greek, all of these words are un-words. Like, foolish is unknowledgeable. It's like all these words are the opposite of something good. It's not like foolish doesn't really get to the heart of it. Faithless would be untrustworthy. Not you don't have faith in God, but you are an untrustworthy person, or I am an untrustworthy. Ununderstanding is really the first one. Foolish, faithless, untrustworthy, heartless, unloving. The last one, ruthless, unmerciful. Verses 28 through 31 especially. Zoom out a little bit. We've been zooming in and looking at each word. Zoom out and think about this. The unrighteous and ungodly, which is all of us, apart from God's rescuing grace in Jesus Christ. All of us. You and I are included. Everyone that's ever lived is included in this. The unrighteous and ungodly are not depicted as sick or maimed or slightly defective or in need of coaching or help. How Paul depicts us here on our own, we are depicted as full of sin. You see that? Look again at verse 29. They were filled with all manner of unrighteousness, and then the list goes. And then halfway through 29, they are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, malice, maliciousness. We're not depicted as in need of a life coach, in need of a little bit of reformation in our own life. We're depicted as full of these things. Full of depravity, full of wickedness, full of sin.